If you have ever opened UI Builder, panicked, and closed the tab, this one is for you. In the next 10 minutes, I will give you entire mental model behind UI Builder, and then we will build your first page together. Hi, this is Konal from Loop 91, and today we are talking about UI Builder and how to start on it. I'm assuming that you know what GUI development in general is. For example, in ServiceNow, we always had a ways to modify form layouts using form layout or using client script or UI policies to modify a form, how they look. Or when we wanted to create something custom, we could use AngularJS to create service portal widgets and pages. We could also use JavaScript, but that is so old that I'm just gonna ignore that. One thing most of you might not know is that JavaScript and service portal pages, the AngularJS, ServiceNow took a bet on open source projects that were headed by other companies, Google in case of AngularJS, and I think JavaScript from Apache. But both projects were abandoned by their developers, and that left ServiceNow in a lurch. And that is why with UI Builder, ServiceNow decided to use web components or something akin to web components. And this way, they own the whole ecosystem. So let's go to UI Builder and see what it looks like. So we will search for UI Builders and it will open a new tab. Let's open this page. I've already started working on this before this video. It will show us what UI Builder looks like. So this is what UI Builder looks like. Think of UI Builder as the visual way to build pages for the new now experience. When you think of UI Builder, think of workspaces and the pages in it. You drag components from your left hand side and add new components, and instead of handwriting a script HTML, CSS, and JavaScript every time, you just reuse components that are either provided out of the box or you could write them yourselves. Before we create a new page or we modify an existing page, let's look what UI Builder is. So what we see on the screen is a typical UI Builder window, and it has three panels in front of it: content, data script, the preview, and the properties. On the left hand side, what you see is hierarchical model of what is on the page. Data and script contains data resources, which are your connection to database on the server side, client state parameter to maintain state, and client script to maintain script. Both of these run on the browser, this on the server side. Now let's compare this to something that we know about ServiceNow, and that is service portal widgets. So if you remember, the main three part of portal widget would be your HTML, your client script, and your server script. So what you see on the left hand side and the preview and the properties associated with it will be mainly the HTML template that we define. Data resources are essentially what you would normally put in your server script, and the client state parameters and client script is something which you would put in the client script field of a widget. One reason most people find UI Builder confusing and intimidating has been that UI Builder interface does not clarify which element resides where. And if you understand that, it will make much more sense. For example, any web development has two parts: client side and server side. So does UI Builder. So when you look at UI Builder, think of these things. What remains on the client side? The URL, the page parameters, the components that we add, layout and the container that contains the components, the client state where we store our global variables, events that we connect to the components on the page, client scripts, or the data binding. These remain on the client side. Now ACLs, business rules, script includes, or the actual data that you can query using client record remains on the server side. They continue to remain on the server side. You will not be able to access those using client side entities. And to interact, you have something in the middle, the door, and that is the data resources, or in some cases GraphQL API. But everything that you need on client end side, which comes from server, will come through this data resource. Now, when you think of this as three different entities, things become a lot easier. The workspace and the page hierarchy look something what you see on the screen. Each workspace is called an experience in ServiceNow, and each experience can have multiple page or page collections. For example, what you see on the screen is that service operation workspace. It is just an example, will have a home page that opens when you open the experience. Then there would be list pages, the pages that define how your list views look like. And then there would be a record page. Now record page will have multiple variants to it. Each would cater to a particular table. For example, we created an incident record page that only shows when the current table is incident, or other when incident and the major incident field on it is true. If it doesn't match any of these parameters, it will always go back to the standard fallback page collection. Now quickly we will jump to an actual experience. This is a custom application and custom experience that I have created. On your screen you see the first one is home, and that is the landing page, and the URL path what you see is /home. We want to look at the record pages, and one in particular, that is work with stages record page. We will see what it means. If we click on it, it will open the UI Builder interface for this. Before you modify anything on this page, I want you to look at the settings, and this is where you define when would this variant to page be available. So what we have defined is table equals to this particular table. Now you could define it and you can change the table name and even provide further more instructions to it. But for now, we will suffice with saying if the table is work with stages, just show this variant. Now that we have covered the theoretical part of UI Builder, let's do a quick practical implementation. We already are on a record page, and this is what renders this page. So this is exactly defined by this page. So what I want to do is I want to add a new tab here after details and add some details to it, add some new components to it. So we can see that this is part of resizable pen. We'll expand that then to the left, and when you click left, you will see this is the main tab component, and it has the property which is tabs. So first one is details, related list, and related list hidden. These are not visible because they have some condition on which they appear, but we can create a new tab here. So let's start with an empty container. We will call it choice list of state, and we can add an icon to it. Let's use this one. We actually did not choose anything. So, oh right, so that is really bad UI. Yeah, now it works. Again, now that we have it, you already see it appears here, so we can save it. Go to that page, refresh this, and it should now appear before us. And you see that now you can see choice list of state. It does not have anything in there, but we will do it. So I want to show all the choices that are available on the stepper, which is coming from the state field, these ones. So let's go there, and what we need to add here is a repeater. I won't go into detail as to what component does what. This just quick demo. So we will add a repeater. This component accepts. We will remove the preview from it, the preset, sorry, and we will go to the data array, and we will pick it from data resource, that is form controller, and from it form, fields, state and choices, and apply. And what that does it, now this repeater has this array as an input. So if I were to add anything onto this repeater, it will automatically repeat for each of the values. So we will add an stylized text component. The moment you add, most component will try and pick a preset relevant to the page, but since we are doing everything custom, we will remove those presets. And when you remove those presets, it automatically creates Let's workflow it, and property would be different for different components, but we will now change this to h4, and in place of a fixed text, what we need is we'll bind this to a data. So we click on this database icon, we go to the repeater, we go to the value, and it says display value. So whenever you select this, you can click on this up arrow and that will bring it to the preview section. Once you click apply, you will see the values are automatically appearing here. Now one thing, let's review it first and then we'll make a small change to make it look better. Right, if you see, these texts are touching the border, which is a bad UX. If you see, everything else has some padding before it, right? So how would you change that? We go back to our definition. We can click on the tab itself and go to styles, padding, and L. This automatically moves everything which is within this container by L size. Now you could change it to pixels or value, whichever you like, whichever VW or VH, but by default ServiceNow gives you SML sizes. We'll save it and we refresh it. Okay, so one thing you will realize when you start working UI Builder is that UI Builder has something called UI Builder cache, and sometimes you will make changes on this interface and that will not reflect on the end side. So for that, what you could do is click here and clear UI Builder cache, refresh this page and go there and refresh again, and suddenly the changes will appear magically, I guess. In this video, we have covered what UI Builder on a very basic level is, and we will continue exploring UI Builder in coming episodes. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you really like it, share it with others, and I'll see you in the next one.